As Joel mentioned, I'm Ryan Bacher. I'm the Chief Sales Officer here at RevRoad. My topic is on experience selling and the evolution of the B2B sales model. And this can apply to B2C too, because a lot of what we're talking about today is derived from the great things that B2C companies are doing and how B2B needs to really step up to the plate. My presentation today, is largely derived from an article that I found in November of 2019 from Deloitte that talks about experience selling, and I want to encourage you all to read it, and I'll provide the resources for you at the end. But through history, people have always been dependent on technology. We use technology to make our lives easier, and we're constantly in this flux of trying to make technology better. And we've had 4 industrial revolutions, and I want to just kind of let you know, just before we get into that through these revolutions, we've had, just modernizations to supply chains and product development. We've created better communication technologies. We have digitized human resources. And all this has sort of disrupted most business functions in a good way. And relative to these functions, B2B sales organizations have been very slow to change. We've got this rapid innovations, but we've seen B2B sort of slip behind the curve in terms of how we sell in the B2B world. So a lot of B2B companies rely on just sort of outdated sales techniques and sort of age-old, sort of techniques that have created a lot of operational challenges. The sales tactics have been slow to change, but buyers and people who are in the buying process, their preferences, their behaviors, their expectations have all changed very rapidly. So, as I mentioned, throughout history, we've had all these industrial revolutions that sort of helped us become who we are. But can any of you tell me, there's 4, can any of you tell me when these industrial revolutions occurred and what products sort of came to market that changed our lives? There's been 4. Any ideas? Just yell it, Sam, and I'll repeat it.
Yeah, so not sure at the time, but I'm sure the printing press was a big invention that kind of revolutionized.
It was. So that was in the mechanization period, okay? Which, yes, he said the printing press is something that came to the table. Anything else? Just throw out ideas. What's come over the last? We'll see what generation it falls into, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it. The steel industry, again, mechanization, being able to produce steel. What technologies do we have to have in place to really produce steel at a high volume? Was it electricity? Was it power? Was it gas? Was it things like that? What else? Darren?
Fire.
The wheel? Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Good. Fire, water, food. Anything else? Numbers, math, cars, railroad, steam engine. Okay, you guys are getting it. I'm going to throw up a few of these. Late 1700s, it was the mechanization, okay? And in this industrial revolution, mechanization is really what replaced agriculture as the backbone of society. In the mid to late 1800s, gas, electricity, and oil really changed it. We created the combustible engine, and now have seen the rise of that to its full potential. In the mid 1900s, what came out? Computers, semiconductors, telecommunications. These are the things that allowed us to go to space and changed biotechnologies and a lot of the industries that we're in. Today, there's a debate about whether we're in the 4th industrial revolution. I tend to say that we are, and that's the internet, and how the internet has changed everything that we do, including all the previous revolutions that there's been. And the reason I'm talking about this is I want you to imagine the buyer in each one of these, buyers and sellers in each one of these, industrial revolutions, how that's maybe changed. I look at my own career, 25 years I've been selling, and I used to have flip charts and briefcases. And then we went to the Palm Pilot, and cell phones to laptops to sales enablement tools to Zoom, for example. It's really changed in my career. Sales has not changed per se, but selling has changed. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. I want you to think now as yourself as a consumer in the B2C space, okay? Where do you shop? How do you shop? What do you buy? How do you buy? And as you contemplate that, I want you to think about the companies that have created the best customer experiences today. I want you to see if you can come up with a few. Where do you buy stuff? And what Amazon, okay? Where else? Where do you buy? Nike, Walmart, Apple, thank you, Target, Costco. Okay, Chick-fil-A. Here's a few that I came up. I really did some research on which companies have the best customer experience, and these were in the top, say 10. Apple. What has Apple done with their customer experience? They've made it cool and beautiful. One of the things I think Apple has done really well is they have looked at the return on investment and the value, and they've said, if we create value first, we'll get return on investment. And that's a hard thing to do, focusing on success, the customer success over ROI. They've done this better than I think than anybody. You mentioned a few others. Amazon. What's Amazon done? What's the one thing Amazon has done really well in the B2C space? Not even shipping. That is part of it. One touch. It's this quick, like I can order something, it'll be at my house tomorrow. It's this speed, right? This, what I call this frictionless journey. You can have something very, very quickly. Disney, what's Disney done in the B2C space? Think about Disney, for example. What have they done really, really well?
Make experiences.
It's an experience, right? It is immersive. It is, not only are you there immersed in this experience, but the planning that it takes for them to have and walk you through this experience is intricate. Just think about all the cast members and what they wear, and just every detail is to the T. And then they're also planning your return. They're getting you to think about, when am I going to come back? Okay, Disney does this better than anybody. Uber. If I needed to go to my house in Lehigh, how quickly could I make this happen? That speed, that first to market, okay? They've really put the time to product is very, very quick. So these companies have worked really hard in the B2C space to create this experience for you, make it real seamless and easy. So what do you think B2B buyers want today? Okay, you want to give them products and solutions at a price, but what do they want? What are they influenced by? Their influences are actually rooted in their experiences with these other companies that sell to them. So it's B2B buyers want the B2C experience. And I call it B2CX. It's the B2CX, the business to customer experience. They want that in the B2B cycle. They're used to this over here, and B2B has been very slow to bring and integrate an experience into the process of selling, okay? All right, so what do they value today? They value these experiences more than they actually value the products and solutions. We walk in with, hey, we've got this, it does this, and solves this at this price, and so on. And they're wanting an experience. They're wanting more of a relationship, a partnership. They want you to solve their business and emotional needs in these transactions. They value that from the first interaction to long after that order is placed. So it's like eternity. They want an eternal relationship with you. So as these B2B demands are changing, and they will persist, there's been kind of this shift from products and solutions to these heavily value-laden experiences. 75% of buyers seek input from their peers first, and then they're spending more time researching you. So what you have to do is make sure that your online presence is very, very good, and that it's thought about from the eyes of the consumer or the customer, okay? And then you got to make sure that whatever you're providing is offering benefits, because they're going to be talking to other peers and giving a lot more information than they would have done in the past. We see this on Amazon. You look at the product, and then where do you go to make sure that product is really good? You look at those reviews. Oh my gosh, it's got zeros, or it's this or that. We really spend a lot of time doing our research today. End user adoption needs to be super fast. So you got to think about your own products and how quickly you can get them from your hands to their hands, and this has to be very fast, just like what Amazon does. And the last thing is these decision makers are inundated with data. And there's a lot more people involved in these buying decisions. So you've got to really think about that before you go and immerse yourself into this selling situation, okay? So what customers buy is changing. We're going from sort of like the products, features and specs, price focused, and it's a very technical sale, to this sort of solutions-based package where you might be getting products and service bundles, or you might have this like sort of needs-based customization, to this value and ROI focus. But what they really want today is they want an experience that delivers basically three things: personalization, speed, and outcome. I've seen this happen just recently with some of the portfolio companies that I've been working with. We sat down for quite a while and we're talking about how can we improve our systems and how can we improve our selling strategies. So what we did is we recorded one sales call, and we could go back and just listen to that, almost like, the Sunday after the football game, and really review what happened. What we noticed was our sales strategy was different from their buying strategy. The things they were saying were different from what we were saying. We were using terms that were related to the topic, and they were using the different words related to the topic, and there was some incongruencies between those two things. It came out just like how could we miss this? And so we need to review this. We need to really personalize these things, and we'll show better outcomes. So let's focus on these three things for just a minute. The Deloitte research showed that B2B customers are asking their vendors and partners to deliver these three elements from end to end of the business sales experience. So we're focusing first on the business and emotional needs of the buyers. And we do this in three ways. Personalization. So we want to provide tailored interactions, okay? Each interaction has to be different. If you look at your selling strategy and use any of these words, it's very sterile, it's very common, it's very robotic, it's very sort of like, not out of the box, you're doing it wrong, okay? Business buyers expect companies to understand them, anticipate their needs, make relevant suggestions. They want offerings that incorporate feedback, and they want you to iterate if it doesn't quite fit exactly what they're looking for. In speed, they want this frictionless buying outcome, and they want more enabling tools that help them do their own, that want them to do their own things. Okay, a cornerstone of any good organization is being able to deliver this frictionless buying journey, if you will. And outcomes. They want you to solve problems and deliver on promises that are real, okay? So if you're going in with this great tool, I'll use Literal, for example, that helps people read better, and it does all this amazing things, but if you don't focus on what their needs are, which is they want to improve readership, and you pitch it a certain way, they may not capture the message that you're trying to portray. Buyers are increasingly being held accountable for what they're buying. So it's not just like, oh, this sounds good, and I'll get the guys up on the 10th floor to agree to purchase this. They're getting pushback and needing to show real outcomes from what they're buying. Anyways, okay, so if we can focus on these three elements, both business and emotional needs, we're going to hit the mark. And you really need to look at your business and how you're going to improve this personalization in each sales pitch, in each offering, bring it quicker to them, and then make sure that it's outcome focused. So how is the buying changed? Let's talk about the buyer's journey today. So in sort of phase one of this process, your organizations are discovering you. And a lot of this today needs to be self-supported. They need to be able to get into your website and really understand what you do very quickly. You need to think from their viewpoint, not from yours. And then they need this content, in such a way that they can sort of interpret it. So they need to discover you. When they're in this buying process, they want to make sure that this transaction is pretty simple and easy. So you've got to figure out how to do that. And they want to feel like you partner with them. If you say that word, we're going to partner with you, we're going to help you through this process, and we're going to make whatever we're selling you, integrate it better into your business, and we're going to help you do that. Those are the kind of interactions you need to be having with your customers when they buy. And then the last thing is, as they use it and they renew it, you want to engage them with empathy. You really need to, how do you have empathy for someone? What do you have to know? You have to know them. It's almost like you have to be in their shoes. So you can see that this needs to take place long before they use it and they renew it. And then they want you to stay with them and be successful with them over a long period of time. So you've got to give them those personalizations. Think about what inside a business, what organizations would help you, help them discover you? What business functions would do that? If you're an organization and you're selling into them, how do they discover you? What department in your company is going to help them discover you? Marketing does that, right? Well, what happens on the buy side? Which organization? Sales. And this use and renew side, which organization is going to help you there? Customer service. So we tend to have very siloed organizations in businesses. You've got marketing and it does its thing and it hands off everything it needs to sales, and over here then we're going to pass this person off over here to service. Well, the greatest companies, the leaders in companies today are bringing these all into one silo. And I'm going to explain to you how they do this and why they're doing this, and we'll share a few tips from some of these companies that are really doing this well. But I want you to think of getting out of silos and getting together, okay? So what does the data show us from the Deloitte article? The first thing it shows us is that leaders, okay, you have leaders, you have laggards, you have emerging companies and low-cost companies. Leaders grow at 3 times their competitors at a 50% lower cost. So the Deloitte article studied all these companies in all these different segments and paired them against each other, industry by industry by industry, and they found out that leaders grew 3 times as faster at a 50% lower cost. How do they do that? Okay, if you look over here, you can be the company that has massive growth. But what's more impressive than massive growth? Profitable massive growth, okay? I look at Salesforce. Salesforce had massive growth, but in terms of sales efficiency, they're only 45% efficient, 65% efficient. They spend 45% of their money they make towards a sales effort. So they're 65% efficient, which is way lower than the average. If you look at this graph, the vertical line shows efficiency. So on average, a good company is around 77% efficiency, which means they spend about 23% of their sales goes towards generating revenue. On the growth side, the average company is around 13% annually. Leaders grow anywhere at about 20%. Okay, so that's the kind of metrics I want you to use. The leaders are in the green. They grow consistently and they grow better in terms of efficiency. Okay, so take your business, if you make $100 a year and you spend $30 in your sales function, you're 70% efficient. These are metrics that you should use and value yourself against every quarter, every month, every year, okay? So just remember that leaders grow 3 times at a 50% lower cost. Leaders actually are more flexible on pricing. Laggards, look, where 69% have multi-year contracts, leaders that are spread more among different varying types of one-time purchases, 12-month contracts, annual contracts, multi-year contracts. If you're saying, I'm only going to do a 3-year contract with these people, I'm going to force them into this box, you may be missing something that your competitors who may be doing it better are doing. This was really interesting to me. I had no clue, and I would have told you, I would have bet against this. I had no idea that leaders use anywhere from 18 to 20 sales enablement tools, whereas the average is around 9, and laggards is around 10. I mean, I'm not a software guy, so this is taxing on my sales brain to think I've got to have multiple sales enablement tools to do this. We have tools that help us with a CRM. We have tools that help us like Affinity Canvas that help us onboard. We have tools that do this and that. But the leaders have many, many sales enablement tools to help them do this process. They digitize a lot of this work, okay? So I thought that was a phenomenal statistic. Leaders use partners to sell more. This is interesting to me. Leaders are placing more emphasis on engaging customers earlier in the buying process through a top-of-funnel digital investment. They're increasing investments in inside sales and partner sales and developing new hybrid sales and marketing roles, giving customer service and success organizations more prominent roles in selling. Imagine if your customer success people realize, oh, hey, they're missing out on this one particular technology. I'm just going to upsell them into this. I'm not going to have to pass them back off to sales or create a marketing campaign to do it. They can just sell right there. So there's your differences between leaders and laggers in terms of using more people to sell in this process. So 5 ways to operate differently. We want to reimagine the buying journey. That's targeting the right customers, expanding and personalizing. We want to deliver the right engagements and interactions. This is through a process that they call ILEAR, which is identify, land, adopt, expand, and renew. Think about this in the whole process as you approach your customers. We need a focus on that. Emphasizing the selling experience. You need more sales enablement tools, bringing marketing, sales, service closer. We see a lot of companies doing this. Double down on what we call understanding the behavior and improving segmentation, targeting, and customer engagement. You really need to put money into this spot. This is where you can have a big, big lift in terms of selling in the B2B world. And you want to modernize your sales operations. Be more strategic, end-to-end, agile, and drive value. Okay? This article is really good. I'm encouraging you all to read it. I've read it like 20 times now, and it's fundamentally changing the playbook for RevRoad for 2020. Our 40-plus portfolio companies are going to engage in this new way of selling. So who has the best B2C or B2B customer experience? I bet you guys can name a few. I'm just going to quickly go through this. Adobe has this amazing thing that I just blew my mind away. Did you know at Adobe, HR covers both their employees and customers? You ever heard of something like that? It's an interesting thing. Why do they do that? Well, they get more feedback. They actually let their customers who are not involved in any of the development, or their employees who are not involved in the development of the software per se, to evaluate it first because they think, well, these are more like our customers. And if they are having this experience, then our customers might be having this experience too. IBM assigns a team of specialists to help integrate their customers into their processes and better train them on applications. When a customer truly understands the product, they're going to be more engaged. Salesforce, I thought this was interesting. They're the company that's brought marketing, sales, and service all together. They've done this really well. Okay, Workday. Each customer is assigned a customer success manager who assists in training, support, additional resources to help them reach their goals. It's based on what are your goals? Let us help you reach them. Okay. So I've got links to all these articles that talk about how they've done these things and how these companies are leaders in this sort of B2B space. So the path forward really is launching these new efforts, it's revisiting these old models, and it's recruiting more data-savvy talent, people that are not only can empathize, but are more data-savvy, are used to using software tools and engagement tools and really implementing those into your business. I want to thank you for participating today, and again, I want to encourage you to read this Deloitte article, and I've got the links for you. Here's a few of them. I want you to make 2021 a new year. Not just from the fact that it's been COVID and it's been terrible. I want you to think about reimagining yourselves, reinventing yourselves, and also, sort of creating this new way to go about it. So that's all I have. Thank you.